The Judean king who revolted against Babylon after serving her for 3 years. The Judean king who revolted against Babylon after serving her for 3 years is A. Jehoash, B. Jehoiakim, C. Jehoiakim, D. Zedekiah. The right option here is option B. Jehoiakim. Joachim, he rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar after he had served Nebuchadnezzar for 3 years. He revolted against him, even though it was against Prophet Jeremiah, because he saw what God was doing to Nebuchadnezzar as the consequences of the action of the people, and he told Joachim not to rebel against Nebuchadnezzar, but he later rebelled against him and he was killed. So the right option here is option B. Question 152. It shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide it. Divide it. This quotation, you should have known that this quotation came out when the harlot women were fighting as a result of their babies. One slept on the baby and the another took the one that belonged to another. So they brought the matter to the king to settle it. So let's look at the option. A. Elijah's mantle. B. Jesus' garment. C. Live baby. D. Solomon's kingdom. The answer is live baby. C. Question 153. Go into the hills, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourself 3 days until the pursuers have returned. Then afterward you may go your way. Who gave this advice? It was Rahab. A. Deborah. B. Rebecca. C. Rahab. D. Shion. It was Rahab. The right option is option C. Next. Question 154. I tell you, not even in Israel have I found such faith. This statement was made during the healing of the A. 10 lepers, B. Paralytic, C. Blind man, D. Centurion's servant. It was during the healing of the centurion's servant. The centurion came to meet Jesus Christ that his servant was sick. And Jesus said, okay, let's go to your house to heal the servant. And the centurion said, you don't need to come to my roof. I am not worthy for you to come to my roof. But just send a word, and my servant will be healed. For I am also a commander over some army. And I tell them, go, and they go. Come, and they come. Perform this, they do. So you too, just send the word, and my servant will be healed. So Jesus Christ commended the faith of the centurion. So the right answer here is D. Centurion servants. Question 155. For offending God, the Israelites were delivered into the power of Midian. For offending God, the Israelites were delivered into the power of Midian for A. 7 years, B. 9 years, C. 12 years, D. 15 years. It is for 7 years. And God raised up Gideon to actually deliver the people of Israelites from their bondage. So the right option here is option A. Next. Question 156. But now that faith has come, we are no longer under a custodian. Custodian here refers to the law. So let's look at the option. A. Church, B. Law, C. Priest, D. Covenant. B. The right option is B. Law, because during that the law serves as a custodian. It acts as a guide for the people. So the right option here is option B. Next. Question 157. The church that was commended for giving, even when in extreme poverty, was in A. Corinth, B. Galatia, C. Thessalonica, D. Macedonia. The church is Macedonia. Paul commended the way they give. He commended their giving lifestyle. So this church is the church at Macedonia. The right option here is option D. Next, question 158. The king of Assyria who took Samaria was A. Ela, B. Shalmaneser, C. Sennacherib, D. Hilkiah. It is not Hilkiah, it is not Sennacherib. The right answer is B. Shalmaneser, and that was during the reign of Hosea. Next, question 159. The king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria during the reign of A. Jeroboam, B. Hosea, C. Ahab, D. Jehu. Please take note, it is not this option B, it's not talking about Hosea the prophet of law. It's talking about the king, during the period when the Assyrian came to take away the Israelites on exile. So the right option here is option B. Option B. Option B. So next, question 160. Question 160. One of the following said, the lion at roar, who will not fear? The Lord has spoken, who can who can but prophesy? A. Amos, B. Jeremiah, C. Hosea, D. Elijah. The right answer is Amos. Next. Question 161. On which of the following days, according to the priestly account, was the earth created? We need to be familiar with the chronological order of the creation story, the first creation story. So you should know that on the first day, what God first created was light. And on the second day, he created the firmament. On the third day, the earth, which is also referred to as the land, sea, and vegetation. On the fourth day, the heavenly bodies were created, which are the sun, the moon, and the stars. On the fifth day, the fishes in the sea and the birds of the air were created. And on the sixth day, land animals and man. And on the seventh day, God rested. You need to be familiar with this for you to be able to answer questions that relate with creation stories. So let's look at the option. A, second, B, third, C, fourth, D, fifth. The answer is third. On the third day, the Lord commanded the water under the firmament to be gathered the water under the firmament to be gathered into a place, and let dry land appear. That dry land he called the earth, and that water that was separated was called the sea. And he also made forth fruits to produce according to their kinds. And diverse trees were also made to on the third day, which we summarize as vegetation. So the correct option here is option B. Next, question 162. What does the Garden of Eden in the creation story symbolize? A. God's concern for humanity. B. God's hatred for disobedience. C. Humanity's inability to please God. D. Humanity's progression from bliss to misery. The right option here is A. God's concern for humanity. And it also showcases that God is a God of order. When he created man, he did not create him to just be like that. He created an abode for him. It shows his concern for humanity. The right option is option A. Question 163. What is the purpose of institutionalizing the observance of Sabbath? What is the purpose of institutionalizing the observance of the Sabbath? To A. Glorify God's creation. B. Take a break from work. C. Unite humans with God. D. Reaffirm God's sovereignty. The major reason why there is Sabbath, on the seventh day, God rested and he called it Sabbath. That means it was when he did not work, he did nothing on the seventh day. And that actually symbolizes that we should take a break from work. So the right option here is option B, take a break from work. Next, question 164. Jacob said to Joseph, go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring me a word again by this order. What was Joseph commissioned to do? A. Be the supervisor of his brothers. No, he was not sent to be a supervisor over his brothers. B. Lead negotiation with other shepherds. No. C. Observe his brothers pasturing the sheep. This is the right option. D. Spy on his brother and bring in reports. He was not to spy on his brother to bring in reports. No. He was just to watch his brother and to bring back words to his father how their welfare, about their welfare, how they are doing on the field. So the right option here is C. Observe his brothers pasturing the sheep. Next, question 165. Joseph was stripped off his dress and placed in an empty pit in the insistence of Reuben pending his. Don't forget that Reuben is the first son of Jacob. Is the first son of Jacob. When Joseph sends Joseph to go and check on his brother's welfare at Shechem, he got to Shechem. He did not find them at Shechem. A man told him to go to Dothan. So when he got to Dothan, as he was coming, his brothers conspired to kill him. But Reuben told his brother that they should shed no blood. So he was the one that actually curbed his brothers from killing Joseph, and he suggested that he should be put in an empty pit, and he had his reason so that he can go back to take Joseph back to their father. But before he actually came back, Joseph has been sold to the Egyptians. So when they cast him into the pit, stripped him up of his garments, cast him into pit, as they were eating, they saw the caravans of Ishmaelites bearing with them gum, myrrh, and spice that they want to go and sell to the Egyptians. So when the brothers saw them, Judah suggested that, what do we have to gain from killing our brothers? Let us sell him off to the Ishmaelite traders. And that was how the Joseph was sold to the Ishmaelite traders, bearing gum, balm, and myrrh. So they traded in gum, balm, and myrrh, and they were coming from Gilead to the land of Egypt. So the right option here is, let's look at the option A. Apology to his brother. B. Murder by his brother. C. Sale into slavery. D. Rescue and restoration. He wanted to rescue him and take him back to their father. Next. Question 166. What was Moses' initial excuse for objecting to the call of God to rescue the Israelites in Egypt? A. He was not eloquent in speech. B. He had a family in Midian. C. Pharaoh would kill him. D. The elders of Israel would not believe him. You have to be careful with this option. Now, it is not that it is first, if you should look at the excuses that Moses gave during his commission at Oreb, he gave like 5 excuses. The first excuses was, who am I to go to Pharaoh? That means he lacked confidence in himself. He lacked trust in himself. He felt he is inadequate to take up the task. And he being inadequate is not part of the option. And the second one was that he asked God, what if they ask me your name? What should I tell them? And God told him that he should tell the people that I am that I am. I am the God of their father, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The third excuse he made was that what if he got to the elders of Israel and he told them about his mission and they did not believe in him? So what should he do? God said God gave him 3 signs. And the first sign was that his rod returned to serpent. The second sign was that when he put his hand into his bosom and he removed it, it will become leprous. And when he put it back, it will be normal. And the third was that he should take water from Nile, pour it to the ground, and it will turn to blood. He said, when he will perform these three signs, the elders of Israel will believe that he has been commissioned by God. After this, he made another complaint that he was not eloquent in speech. So, eloquency in speech is not his initial excuse. It was like the fourth excuse that he gave. So he said he was not eloquent in speech. And God said, I will deal with your mouth. He said, am I not the one who made your mouth? So he said, I'm going to deal with it. But he did not want to go for that assignment. And he now made another fifth. The fifth excuse is made was that he said he doesn't want to go, that he's not going, that God should send another person. God was actually annoyed with him, and he said, don't worry, that Aaron will be your spokesman. So we have like five excuses. So here, we discover that the first excuse he gave, who am I to go to Pharaoh? Who am I to go and deliver the Israelites? Inadequacy is not here. And if they ask him of his name, is not here. So the next one was that the elders of Israel will not believe him. So the option that is correct here is option D. The elders of Israel will not believe him. Next. Question 167. Which of these statements is true about the 12 spies sent by Moses to the Negev yonder? Which of the statements is true about the 12 spies sent by Moses to the Negev yonder? A. All were experienced in espionage. B. All were men of valor and integrity. C. Each of them hailed from a tribe in Israel. D. Each of them possess divine charisma. The right option here is C. Each of them hailed from a tribe in Israel. When they got to the wilderness of Paran, God told Moses, select a man from each tribe to go and spy the land of Canaan. So they came from a tribe. So the correct option here is option C. Question 168. What occasioned the selection of Joshua as the next in line to Moses? What occasioned the selection of Joshua as the next in line to Moses? A. To fill the void in leadership. B. Moses' request for a successor. C. Popular demand of the people. D. The training Moses had given to him. The correct option is option D. Moses' request for a successor. The Bible says that when Moses was old, he asked God to select a leader for the people. And God told him to appoint Joshua, the son of Nun, in whom his spirit is in him, that he should take him before Eleazar to be commissioned as a leader in place of Moses. So the right option is B, Moses' request for a successor. Question 169. Which of the following virtues qualified Joshua as a leader of the Israelites? Which of the following virtues qualified Joshua as a leader of the Israelites? He was a man A. Endowed with weakness. B. Full of wisdom. C. Full of administrative skill. D. In whom is the Spirit of God. According to the Bible, biblically, the Bible says in him was the Spirit of God. That is Joshua. So the right option here is option D. Next. Question 170. For how long were the children of Israel oppressed under the leadership of Jamb? A. 10 years. B. 20 years. C. 30 years. D. 40 years. The right option is 20 years. They were under the bondage. They were under the affliction of Jamb for 20 years. And God raised Deborah as their deliverer. And he saved, and through God, God gave victory to them. Next. Question 171. Who among the following women was Destiny? to gain victory for Israel by killing Sisera? A. Deborah. B. Jael. C. Jezebel. D. Anna. It was Jael. The right option is Jael. No, Sisera went to Jael. When the battle was hot, Sisera fled for his life. But the Jael saw Sisera and he called him in and he assured him of his safety. He was tired. He requested for a drink. He requested for water. Jael gave him milk. And when he gave him milk, he slept off. When he slept off, Jael took a tent peg and drove it into his temple. That was how he died. And that was how God gave them victory. Don't forget that Jael was the wife of Eber, was the wife of Eber, the Canaanite. So the answer is B. The correct answer is B. Next, question 172. May God do so to you and more also, if you hide anything from me of all he told you. This statement was made by A. Abijah, B. Eli, C. Ophni, D. Samuel. This statement was made by Eli. It was made by Eli. And that was during the period when God called Samuel. He confirmed what the man of God has told Samuel about the consequences of his action and that of his son. So, when Samuel had the word from God, he was afraid even to tell Eli. But Eli now told him, may God do so to you, and also, if you hide anything from me of all he told you. And after this, Samuel made open everything that God has told him. And what is the response of Eli? He said, it is the Lord. Let him do what pleases him. So the right answer here is option B. Next. Question 173. Which of the following reasons accounted for the demand by the Israelites for the establishment of a monarchy? Which of the following reasons accounted for the demand by the Israelites for the establishment of a monarchy? A. God has rejected Eli as priest. B. The glory of God had left Israel. C. The sons of Eli were wayward. D. The sons of Samuel perverted justice. So the right answer here is that the sons of Samuel perverted justice. That was what led to the demand of a king, and that was what led to monarchy in the land of Israel. That means the reign of a king in the land of Israel. So the correct option is option D. Question 174. What was Samuel's remark to God, to Saul, when God's instruction to destroy Amalek was disobeyed? What was Samuel's remark to Saul when God's instruction to destroy Amalek was disobeyed? A. Appointed a son of Jesse to succeed him. B. Rejected all the sacrifices he has made. C. Rejected him as king over Israel. D. Turned down his prayer for forgiveness. The right answer here is rejected him as a king over Israel. Once he has disobeyed God, God told him to go to the Amalek, the land of the Amalekites, to destroy the land, utterly destroy it. Because God has actually promised, God has actually made it clear to the people of Israel that they will perish. Why? Because they obstruct the people of Israelites on their way to the promised land. So God had already spoken, then it needs to be accomplished. He told Saul to go and destroy the land of Amalek, utterly destroy it. It was declared as a holy war. So, but Saul took up the mission, went to the land of Amalek, only destroyed the worthless things, and brought back home their king called Agag and other best of their flocks. God and he said to Samuel that he brought them to sacrifice to God. And Samuel asked, "Oh, is obedience not better than sacrifice?" And hearkened to the fat of rams. And as he turned to leave, Saul, he took hold of his skirts and he kept on. And he told him that as you tear my garments, God has actually turned the kingdom of Israel from you. So God has rejected him as a king over Israel. So the correct option here is option C. Next, question 175. In which of the following ways did David show respect for the Lord's anointed? In which of the following ways did David show respect to the Lord's anointed? A. Giving Saul a decent burial when he died. B. Refusing to take Saul's life when he had the opportunity. C. Returning Saul's spear and jar of water to him. D. Weeping and mourning when Saul died. The correct option is for him showing respect to the Lord's anointed is refusing to take his life when he had the opportunity to do it. So the correct answer here is option B. Question 176. How did David get a confirmation that Saul was looking for him in the wilderness of Ziph? How did David get a confirmation that Saul was looking for him in the wilderness of Ziph? A. He had had a message from God. B. Had a dream. C. Sent out spies. D. Was alerted by the Ziphites. It was the Ziphites that went ahead to go and meet Saul and told Saul that David was hiding at the hill of Achilia on the east of Jeshimon. And Saul took together his armies, about 3,000, to go to the wilderness of Ziph to meet David. And they were encamped in a place. So David sent out spies to know the exact place where Saul was. And when this report was brought to him, Samuel asked who will follow him, and Abishai followed him to the camp of Saul. And when they got there, he had the opportunity to kill him. Why? Because they were all asleep. They were all asleep, including Abner, the commander of the army. Saul, with his jar of water and spear beside him. Oh, he had the spear in which he can use to kill him. In fact, Abishai requested him that he should just allow him to pin him down once. But David said, who will put forth his hand into the God's anointed and go away guiltless? So therefore, he respected the Lord's anointed. So the right option here is option C. He sent out spies. Question 177. Question 177. On which of the following condition was Solomon promised longevity by God? A. Building a temple for God. B. Conquering the Philistines. C. Keeping God's commandments. D. Writing 3,000 proverbs. The right answer is C. Keeping God's commandment. That was the condition for his longevity. And actually, he did not keep the commandments of God, and did not he died. He did not live long because he actually disobeyed the commandments of God. So the right answer here is option C. Question 178. The highlight of Solomon's prayer at the dedication of the temple was the A. Celebration of God's faithfulness to his covenant. B. Fact that all people should pray in the temple. C. Recognition that God loves sacrifices. D. Statement that God dwells in man-made houses. The right option is A. Celebration of God's faithfulness to his covenant. While he was dedicating the temple, he appreciates God for his faithfulness to his covenant, for his faithfulness to his promises, that he will not but leave a person in the throne, the promises he has made for David. He appreciated God because God is a God that keeps promises and is faithful to his covenant. So the correct option here is option A. Question 179. What did the biblical historian attribute the persistence, arrogance, and pride of Rehoboam to? A. God's own plan. B. Peer pressure. C. Poor parental upbringing. D. Exuberance. Youthful exuberance. Now, the major, according to the Bible, what Rehoboam did for him to meet the youth and coming to declare to the people that his own affliction will be greater than that of his father was actually God's own plan, because as a result of the sins of Solomon, God has decided to divide the kingdom into two. He told Solomon plainly that he has taken the kingdom away from him and he has given it to his servant. Who was his servant then? Jeroboam. Jeroboam was his servant. So the kingdom was taken away from him and given to his servant. So the kingdom was divided into two. Rehoboam ruled the southern kingdom and Jeroboam ruled the northern kingdom. So the right option here is option A, God's own plan. Question 180. What lesson can Christians learn from Elijah's association with ravens at the brook Shiret? What lessons can Christians learn from Elijah's association with ravens at brook Shiret? A. God demanded accountability from each of us. God provides for those who trust in Him. See, ravens are holy creatures. The wrath of God cannot be averted. The right answer here is God provides for those who trust in Him. The right answer is option B. Next, question 181. What event led what events established the supremacy of God on Mount Carmel? I believe you know what happened at Mount Carmel. That was when the fire consumed the sacrifice of Elijah. So, A. Complete consummation of Elijah's sacrifice. B. Eradication of idolatry in Israel. C. Killing of Baal and Asherah prophets. D. The death of Ahab and Jezebel. The right answer here is A. Complete consummation of Elijah's sacrifice. Question 182. Which of these reasons was behind Naaman's request to take home two moose bodies of earth from Israel? After his healing, he requested Elijah, when he said he's not taking anything from him, he requested that he should take two moons of the earth of the land of Israelites, because in order to go and worship and worship God, because he believed in the God of the Israelites. So A, believe the earth had divine power to heal. B, intended to create a sacred space for worship in his own land. C, thought Yahweh's presence was limited to the land of Israel. D, wanted to use the earth for a ceremonial thing. D. The correct option is option B. He intended to create a sacred space for worship in his own land. Question 183. The descendants of Gehazi were believed to have endured which of these afflictions? A. Injustice. B. Epilepsy. C. Leprosy. D. Starvation. The answer is leprosy. Option C. Question 184. What was the impact of the discovery of the Book of Law during the reign of Josiah in Judean history? It A. Established a new legal code for the kingdom. B. Led to the construction of now fortifications. C. Led to the construction of fortifications. C. Prompted a series of military conquests. D. Triggered extensive religious and political reforms. The answer is triggered extensive religious and political reforms. Question 185. What lesson can Christians learn from Nehemiah's prayer at Susa? What lesson can Christians learn from Nehemiah's prayer at Susa? A. To give generously without reservation. B. Be penitent and intercede for others. C. Pray for the welfare of all nations. D. Win soul for the kingdom of God. When we talk about his prayer at Susan, you will discover that he prayed. He actually prayed because when he had the report, he was not happy about the state and the condition in which the land was. He was not happy about it. He was sad, he wept, he fasted and prayed about the condition of the land before he received favor from the king. So what lesson can Christian learn from his prayer? A. To give generously without reservation, be penitent and intercede for others. That is the correct answer. Be penitent and intercede for others. Question 186. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer suffer disgrace. How did the Judeans responded to this call? They A. Doubted Nehemiah's identity as a Jew. B. Mocked and teased Nehemiah. C. Rallied round Nehemiah to work. D. Said it would amount to rebellion against Artaxerxes. The right option is C. They rallied round they rallied round Nehemiah to do the work. They were doing the work faithfully. Question 187. What lesson can be derived from the way God affected the heart and mind of Cyrus, the king of Persia? A. Divine power can direct the action of evil secular leaders. B. Political strategy is more important than divine will. C. The success of a ruler depends on military strength. D. Religious teachings have minimal impact on political decision. When we look at King Cyrus, he actually played important role in making the Jewish exile return back to their land. And he said in his word that he has been inspired by God to make the Jewish exile return back home. That indicates that God that can direct the heart of people as he wills. So the right option here is A. Divine power can direct the action of even secular leaders. Next. Question 188. Which of the following options most effectively summarizes Daniel's life during the reign of Darius? Daniel A. Retired from public life and focused solely on religious practices. B. Was a scholarly figure who wrote extensively about Persian history. C. Was promoted to a top administrative position and faced jealousy from other officials. D. Was a foreign ambassador who negotiated treaties on behalf of the Persian Empire. The best word that describes Daniel here is the option C. He was promoted to the top administrative position and he faced jealousy from other officials. So this was the correct option is option C. Next, why did the Lord instruct Hosea to go again and love a woman who was the beloved of a paramour and adulteress? A. Emphasize the importance of personal discipline in faith. B. Highlight the consequences of betrayal in relationship. C. Illustrate the depth of divine compassion and commitment. D. Show the need for strict religious observance. The right option is option C. Illustrate the depth of divine compassion and commitment. Next. Question 190. Why did Amos resort to the use of harsh and severe words in his prophecy to the Israelites? To A. Adhere to the literary convention of his time. B. Create fear among the people to ensure their compliance. C. Display his own emotional distress. D. Emphasize the urgency and gravity of divine judgment. The answer is option D. He emphasizes the urgency and gravity of the divine judgment, and that is why he is referred to as the prophet of do. Next, question 191. After his water baptism, which gospel account mention that Jesus engaged in prayer? A. Matthew, B. Luke, C. Matthew and Luke, D. Mark and Matthew. The gospel that record that Jesus Christ was engaged in prayer after his baptism was the gospel of Luke. Option B. Question 192. During the temptation of Jesus, what did the devil propose would occur if Jesus threw himself down? God would A. Grant him great wealth, B. Make his angels protect him, C. Provide him a kingdom, D. Turn stones to bread. He actually, according to the Gospel of Matthew, this was the second temptation of Jesus. He took Jesus to the pinnacle of the temple and in Jerusalem and asked him to cast himself down. He said in his word that the Lord will keep his angels charge over him to keep him in all his ways. He said it has been written that the Lord will keep his angels charge over him to keep him in all his ways. They shall bear him up in his hand. This is that his feet against a stone. So, uh, what he was trying to say here is that God will make his angels protect him. Don't forget that this was the second temptation in the Gospel of Matthew, and it is the third temptation in the Gospel of Luke. So, the correct answer here is B. Question 193. In Luke's Gospel, Jesus remarked that anyone who desires to follow him should hate his or her parents, siblings, and himself. By this remark, Jesus implied A. Discipleship, B. Evangelism, C. Self-control, D. Self-denial. The right answer here is self-denial. Next. Question 194. What were the sons of Zebedee doing when Jesus instructed them to follow him? What were the sons of Zebedee doing when Jesus instructed them to follow him? A. Discussing with their father. B. Letting down their nets into the sea. C. Mending their nets. D. Washing their nets. So Jesus Christ, it was Simon Peter and Andrew that Jesus Christ met at the Sea of Galilee that were casting their nets into the sea, according to the Gospel of Matthew. So, and when Jesus Christ left from there, he met the sons of Zebedee, James and John, mending their nets. So the right option here is option C, mending their nets. Question 195. Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay you everything. How did the receiver of this information react? He A. Asked the servants to pay him. B. Had pity on the servant. C. Imprisoned the servant. D. Sold the servant into slavery. The master had mercy on the servant. When he pleaded, this is actually talking about the parable of the unmerciful servant. It was part of the parable that Jesus Christ declared about forgiveness. There was a servant who owed his master, and his master forgave him. And he met another servant that was owing him, and he locked him up. So that is talking about we forgiving others. He received forgiveness, but he did not want to forgive other people of their sins. So the how did the receiver of this information react? He had pity on the servant. The right option is option B. Next. Question 196. The story of a king who wished to settle accounts with his servants, as told by Jesus, was intended to teach, just like we have said in the last question. So it's the parable of the unmerciful servant. So A. Love, B. Hospitality, C. Forgiveness, D. Honesty. Jesus Christ cited that parable in order to tell us about forgiveness. We have received forgiveness and we must show forgiveness to other people. Next, question 197. What gave Peter out after denying Jesus for the third time? What gave Peter out, that means what exposed Peter after denying Jesus for the third time, is A. Dressing, B. Boldness, C. Accent, D. Silence. It was his accent that exposed him, because they were able to identify, you speak the same accent to these people. And he denied, even causing himself that he did not know Jesus. Next, question 198. Which of the following charges was not levied against Jesus when he appeared before the Pilate? And this is according to the Gospel of Luke. It was the Gospel of Luke that stated the charges that the people brought against Jesus before the Pilate. So A. Healing all manner of sickness. B. Calling himself the King of the Jews. B. Perverting the Jewish state. C. D. Forbidding payment of taxes to Caesar. B is part of the accusation that he was calling himself, referring to himself as Christ the King. He was perverting the Jewish nation. He was forbidding payment of taxes to Caesar. But the right option, according to the question here, is healing all manner of sickness. It was not part of the charges that was brought against Jesus before the Pilate. So the correct answer here is option A. Question 199. Which of this description was not attributed to Joseph of Arimathea? Which was of this description was not attributed to Joseph of Arimathea? He was a confessed disciple of Jesus, B. Member of the Sanhedrin, C. Good and righteous man, D. Man looking for God's kingdom. Now, if you should read your Bible very well, you will discover that he was part of the member of the Sanhedrin. He was part of the religious authority, and he was a good and a righteous man. He was a man seeking for God's kingdom. Now, he was a secret disciple of Jesus because he was afraid of what the religious leader would do to him. So, the right option here is A. Confessed disciple of Jesus. He did not confess it. It was hidden. So, he was a secret disciple. So, the right option is option A. Question 200. Jesus saddened Cleophas and his colleague by his. Jesus saddened Cleophas and his colleague by his. This place is talking about two men on their way to Emmaus. Two men on their way to Emmaus. One of them was Cleophas. Now, how did Jesus sadden Cleophas and his colleague? A. Refusal to reveal his identity to them. B. Explanation of the scripture to them authoritatively. C. Ignorance of developments in Jerusalem. D. Description of them as foolish men and low in faith. When they were moving on their way to Emmaus, they were discussing, the two of them were discussing, and Jesus Christ appeared to them and he was joining them in their conversation. As he was conversing with them, he asked questions what they were discussing. And they asked him, are you a stranger in Jerusalem that you don't know what is happening these days? And Jesus Christ, they told him about what happened to Jesus Christ, about his death, and how they heard that he has resurrected. And he made the statement, "O foolish men of unknowing faith, who did not remember those things he has told you, and what was written of him by the prophets." So, and when they got to Emmaus during the evening meal, as they were eating, they discovered that this is Jesus. And immediately they discovered it was him, he vanished from their sight. And the Bible proceeded that they said, their hearts, they were born to hearts as a result of the way he spoke to them scripturally. So, what saddened them was not his refusal to reveal his identity. It was because of his explanation of the scriptures to them authoritatively. So the right answer here is option B. Please You can do well to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like, please comment and share our videos so that you can actually get more of our videos. Thank you.